What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling? It's another beautiful Saturday. How's everybody doing this week? We are ramping up. E3's coming up, man. But once again, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us every Saturday. Retweet that link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I know some people are kind of, coming in a bit late. So appreciate you guys. As you guys can see as well, one of our three amigos, or four amigos at this point, is down. Not down, but he's out right now. So he'll be here a bit late. He's on another podcast. So shout out to Centurion. He should be popping in here pretty soon once he gets done with that. Shout out to 1080p Dragons as well. But man, let's go ahead and get into our show. We have an amazing guest. The gentleman has been on fire. He's made an appearance here before, but it's a busy man now. But host of the Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Let's go ahead and get started with you, man. How you been, brother? Glad to see you back here at the shop, man. What's been up with you?
Dude, man, it's been a while. I'm super excited to be back here. Now, when I had guested on here a few times before, Pong wasn't an official panel member of the show yet, so it's like awesome to have like my brother here as well, and have Staggerilla, Fuzzy here as well as you, PTK. Man, it's just super excited to be back. This is an awesome podcast, awesome show. We just been busy trying to have fun, doing things on YouTube and playing games. And yeah, I mean, I'm hyped for E3, so I'm also hyped for this show so we can talk about all this stuff. So let's get going, man.
We would definitely dive in. So we got Centurion just slid in here. Ooh. What's up, brother? But
yeah, I know. Sorry, my
it's all good.
Is a little chafed right now. No, I'm
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you,
dude. I feel so bad because I was like, "Hey, Lemon, I gotta go, man. I can't I'm not gonna just ditch PTK. I'm sorry."
Oh, it's all good, man. No big deal. It's not a big deal, but we appreciate you sliding in here, man, doing the damn thing. Now we are a full team. Now we're the damn Megazord now, and all of us are here. So, but let's go ahead and shout out to you, man, for hanging out with us, man. Once again, if you guys appreciate the Shop Podcast, please go ahead and take a look at the Xbox Ultimate Podcast. All the information is down in the description below. Shout out to your lovely wife, Caitlin, as well, and everybody that's part of the Xbox Ultimate Podcast, man. Glad you're here, man. And so let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong, Mr. Everyday. I call Pong Steve Harvey now. He's everywhere. He's on every show. But how you been, man? Living split screen once again, popping off early Saturday mornings, man. How you been this week?
Been good. Work is extremely busy, so I haven't been as active, and that's going to be going forward here by the looks of things, but it is what it is. So I am definitely ready to do some podcasting. It started last night, continued this morning, and then of course, Saturday night with you fine gentlemen is the way that I like to spend it. So awesome to be here. Obviously great to have my brother from another Mav on tonight as well. It's always a fantastic time to get him on a show with me. Even though we just did one last night. Hey, you know what? The more the merrier. So
sharpening those skills, huh?
Exactly. But no, man, we got, like Mav said, hyped for E3. I am off the charts. I do not hold back my hype. So this is Christmas coming up. We're only 2 weeks out. I'm a little kid out here searching for those Christmas gifts. So I am ready to talk about all these great topics, BTK. So let's get down to it.
All right, man. We're going to throw this over to you, Stag. What's up? What's been up with you, brother? How you been?
I defer to Pong.
We did have this conversation pre-game, but how you been?
Just chilling, streaming, trying to cut back on streaming a little bit, just to focus on some stuff in my personal life, which we all got to do from time to time. But I'm happy to be here this week, and let's just go ahead and get to it. I don't really have much going on or much to say. I've been playing Biomutant, and I love it.
Nice. So, if you're gonna say anything, say that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I've been playing Biomutant, and it's great. So I don't care what the haters say.
That's how it should be.
As official representative of Staggerilla, I do approve of what he just said.
Thank you. I paid my lawyer well.
Nice. No paperwork, by the way. No paperwork. This is all just strength of love. But exactly. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. How you been this week, man? What you been up to? Oh, the mic.
Nope, that was me. Oh my gosh, being on too many shows. I'm not as good as Pong Soul in doing this. I mean, he's like the master and commander of being able to run multiple shows. I totally tried switching back to Discord to unmute my microphone. What is up? Oh my God. It is Saturday night. I am sitting here with my fellow brethren to be able to talk about games and everything in between. And man, I don't miss doing this show every Saturday night for you guys for nothing. It is always a blast. And as I told you coming in here, I couldn't miss it. And I just totally, dude, to find out Mav and Pong Soul are here both.
Yeah, the twins tag team. You got to be on your toes today for sure, man.
Tag team back again.
Well, actually, for some quick humor, the other day we were talking about redoing the phone system at my work, and they were actually wanting to know somebody who has a good voice. And for a moment, I almost wanted to DM Fuzzy. It'd be like, you ever thought about wanting
you don't have to pay for that voice, baby.
It's just like, I mean, like, you ever thought about wanting to do like the vocals for a phone system?
Hey, Fuzz is not cheap. We starting at least 2 commas. So Fuzz is not cheap. No, but
God damn,
great,
commas?
Great. Oh yeah, that buttery voice. Come on now.
I'm gonna just do, but I want to do it like Matt Booty though. I'm gonna be like sending him photos of like pancakes with zeros drawn on it. Being like, is there enough zeros on this yet?
Nice. And that's a great segue too, right into Fuzz, man. What's been up with you, bro?
Not much. Just busy at work because it's just before a major holiday and stuff, and man, looking forward to E3 right around the corner. So just like Pong, excited like a kid on like Christmas Eve type of deal. And luckily, no major leaks just yet. But man, we got so much to talk about. And Biomutant, a lot of fun. Haven't finished it because I'm playing it kind of crazily right now, where I got my evil critter and my good critter or light critter. And I'm kind of switching between both. It's like, oh, I didn't like how that turned out, so I'm gonna switch over to the other save and try it a different way. But
those two guys are freaking hilarious too.
Oh yeah.
Nice. So let's go ahead and dive in here, man. We got a lot to talk about. Once again, man, hit the like button. Appreciate you guys' support. Subscribe if you have not already. Once again, super chat is open if you guys do want to support in that way as well. We appreciate every single body just watching us. We appreciate you guys just being here and showing us some love. But let's go ahead and dive in, man. We start with the poll of the week as we do every week. On Monday on my Twitter, I dropped the poll of the week if you're new here, and we talk about it here on the show on Saturday. So this week, a little bit of movie topic. So with the Uncharted movie being made, if both were in production, which Xbox movie would you be more excited to see and why? So I picked 2 Xbox first party games that I knew would be would be difficult to choose between 2, but it didn't seem that way. So I had Halo and Gears of War. Halo landslide 72%, Gears of War 28%. So we'll start with you on this one, Matt. We got 2 options: the Halo movie, Gears of War movie. Which one, would you be more excited for?
Well, there's an obvious answer here, and I think everyone should agree with me.
Anthem.
So there's exactly.
We got the mention in. Yes.
Okay, my hand just went up.
It's long overdue, man. Now both of them would make great movie franchises, right? Absolutely epic, and I think eventually we may see both, right? But when they announced back in the day that Peter Jackson was going to make a Halo
Don't remind
movie,
me, Mav. Jesus Christ.
and then they were going big, and they started making all these props at Weta Studios over there in New Zealand and doing all this stuff, and they showed that real warthog and all of these things. My heart got so excited, and I was waiting, and then they announced, they're having maybe issues with some of the decisions and some of the spending, and then the studios kind of started having trouble, and then the whole project fell apart. That like, as a Halo fan, it like crushed me, man. I was like, oh, I was so excited about that. And it has to be Halo. Like, it just absolutely has to be Halo. I want to see the big sci-fi super epic universe brought to life in the Halo universe,
Live action
on the big
Halo?
screen.
Live action?
Live action.
Okay.
I want to
All right.
see live action, big budget, World Warthogs. I want to see, you could do like a cross, see with what everything's capable now. You could do like a cross of CG with live action as well. Where you have like the Covenant and who knows what timeline. There's so many stories to tell within the Halo universe. It's just made for the big screen. It's such a good story with so much lore, right? And then Gears is as well, right?
Yes.
But for me, just my heart says Halo. I'm such a Halo fan, and I really want to see that. Now, this game also, there's another one, okay, that I would put at number 2.
Okay.
And this wasn't in the poll, so I'm sorry for throwing this out there. But Splinter Cell. This was another one that was announced, and Tom Hardy was going to be Sam Fisher, right? And that project has never came to existence as well. And that's another one that's just like, oh man, that would have been so perfect for me. I really want to see that. I'm having hope for something in the future, like on maybe like Amazon Prime, because of what they did with Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan and how that ties into the Clancyverse and stuff. And dude, I have a lot of hope for something there in the future. But man, big budget, balls to the wall, all out Halo, IMAX, big screen, everything. Just go for it.
Oh yeah, I'll pay for that ticket. I'll pay for that ticket easily for sure. So no, Halo won landslide 72%. So I actually thought it would be a bit closer. Now I brought up the specific question of live action or CGI. Obviously, it probably would have to be a little bit of both, just for technical standpoints, just to make everything Halo feel like Halo. I think Gears will be better as a live action than Halo would. Now I know that sounds blasphemy, but I just think the Gears. I don't know. I like the some of the Halo Legends, and I like the way what they did with just the fan. Because you can just do more with CGI. You can make stuff as big as you want it and look crazy as you want it. But I guess a mix will be fine too. I never really considered that, man. But I like Gears as a live action movie a little bit better. Obviously who's the obvious who would play Marcus. We've been lobbying for him to play Marcus. He's having lobbied for himself. Batista, correct? Didn't he come out and say that he wanted to play Marcus Phoenix?
Yeah, he desperately wants to.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, Army of the Dead, he was awesome in that.
Oh, yes. I haven't watched it yet. Awesome. Okay. All right. So once again, chat, let us know which one do you guys think you would prefer, a Halo or a Gears movie. So we throw this over to you, Pong, and I have a secondary question, but I'll wait till after you go, Pong. But which one would you prefer, brother?
There's so many variables involved here. This was a really tough one because it would all depend on director. It all depend on actors and actresses. It really would come down. So I believe. Okay, so I chose Halo. From the simple fact is that, like Mav was talking about, the world is so large and the lore so in depth that I think it deserves at least one movie, if not a trilogy. I think there's so much here that they could work with, that if you found the right people, and that's always going to be the case with anything, obviously, this would probably be one of the biggest just overall sci-fi movies of all time. It has that kind of potential. So I chose Halo, and I didn't choose Halo based upon Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson didn't excite me actually for Halo. Who excited me for Halo was Neil Blomkamp. The guy who did District 9 and Elysium, and he actually made a short film for Halo. And if nobody's seen it, go watch it immediately. 2009. All you gotta do is just search Halo of Neil Blomkamp. His Halo short live action film is so good. I want to see it full blown. I think this it's amazing. So that's what got me excited about Halo. Now, at the end of the day, if you did Gears, and I'm talking about old Gears, I'm talking about going back to the dark Gears, okay, with the Dude Bros and everything. If you got the right director and you got the right cast, that could become the next Aliens, right? That could become the next big sci-fi kind of story as well, if you did it that way, because that's what I see it as. That one would be like pure like action, like just hardcore, just man, it would be so good. It'd be so explosive to see those guys on the screen, and to have that feel from the first three in a movie. I think that one could blow up big time, and I definitely would like seeing that. Now, what's your secondary question here?
So Mav brought up a great point about, and this when he was talking about just the issues with production. Why does it seem so hard to get video games to make movies out of video games? Why does it seem like it's just, I mean, we've had a couple, but they're few and far in between. Like, I don't know if it's just the red tape and you got to work with the developer and there's all these different like middlemen. It just seems so hard to get a video game turned into a movie, especially give it, video games as big as like a Halo or a Gears.
Yeah, I think it's loosening up at this point. I think that we're going to see a change. Netflix is changing that a lot. I think that we've seen them go into big production with Witcher and series like that. I think that's going to open things up. I think back in the day, because video games weren't considered mainstream, even if a lot of people were playing them, even if Halo was the be all end all, it still wasn't mainstream enough for studios to take big risks. And with video game movies, if you're going to do a live action one, like you were talking about, PTK, it's going to be gigantic budget. I mean, you're talking about full blown. You could go the B route, but it's never going to succeed. If you're going to do something right, you'd have to go full out, and you're talking about huge budgets. And for a studio to take a risk on a video game property IP, it would have been a big deal back in the day. But I think that's changing now. I think that we see Netflix used to be Showtime. That video game, Showtime. Again, with just Marvel in general succeeding, right? Marvel becoming the biggest thing ever. That's going to open up different avenues for video games to transfer over. I think as we see the ideas run out of Hollywood, I've spoke about this before, and these people can't come up with original movie ideas, we're starting to see them borrow from video games. And we're seeing writers that normally would have gone into Hollywood to write movies, to write scripts, to write TV, actually moving into the video game industry now, because the video game industry opens up a whole new creative route, and you can express yourself in video games in a whole different way than you can in a movie or TV series. And I think you're not limited like you are over there. So I think we're going to start seeing people, studios and stuff, grab ideas, IPs from the video game industry and put them on the big screen.
Can I add to this as well?
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Because like what Pong was saying, we've witnessed something with TV shows on these streaming services that have opened up a different platform of a different type of show now, right? So this is what Pong is kind of saying. So you have like Netflix, you have Disney Plus, you have Amazon Prime, you have all of these things, and for these subscription services, and you're going to see this with Game Pass too, it has me pretty excited for video games. But with subscription services for movies too, you're not worried as much about, okay, we're going to make this one big production movie and put it out there, and we have to reach as massive of an audience as possible. Whereas if you're releasing it into subscription services, you're actually targeting specific audiences to actually come and subscribe to your service, right? Where there could be a lot of Halo fans that are going to subscribe to like Paramount Plus, right? Specifically because they're making a Halo TV show, right? Yeah. And if you make it something that's just like not for them, they're not going to be interested, right? So as opposed to where a movie in the traditional sense before, they're thinking about, okay, how are we going to get the people that aren't video game fans
that makes sense
to like this movie? They're trying to bring in everybody that is individual fans of everything. That's where variety is key. So that's why we're seeing this MCU stuff in Disney Plus that's going hardcore. We're seeing Mighty Ducks make a comeback that's hardcore. It's stuff that would have never have happened before, where you're targeting specific audiences and trying to draw them in, right?
Yeah,
so that is amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely, Mav. And like the success of like the Mandalorian, they could certainly easily do like Halo, a version of the Mandalorian. There'd be so many stories they could do like that and test the waters out, and it's not a big risk like you're talking about with these subscription services, but that could like ignite everything if they tried it out that way. I think, again, success stories that we're seeing in those areas definitely are going to open up different possibilities for the video game industry to move into that direction. And why wouldn't they? I mean, it's just another stream of revenue. Well, why wouldn't you do it? So I think it's going to happen too.
All right,
good point,
all right.
Mav.
All right, no, a lot of great points here. Let's go and throw this over to Stag, man. Get your opinion on, just which one would you choose and why. I already feel like I already know, but where you at on this one, Stag?
I already said Anthem. Jesus.
Oh man,
there is actually an Anthem movie out there. So if you're
all
curious,
day, every day. But I mean, I love both, but I love Halo more. So I'm not gonna not gonna do what Fun and Pong did because I don't have that much to say about this. But Halo all day. I don't want CGI. I want the real shit.
Nice.
Granted, maybe some of it's CGI, but I want real actors. You know what would be really good? Just to fuck with you guys, a Broadway show.
A Halo, bro.
Let's do it. I would freaking go watch that on tour.
I don't know how they would.
It's got to be better than Cats. Come on now.
I don't know. You can get creative with that, but that's
Stagger. Get an image of Stagger wiping a tear from his eye, like clapping as hard as he can.
And shit. That would be great, man.
Lord
Come on now.
How about Halo Bollywood?
Let's do a Broadway show. That'll be on fucking the bestsellers or a bit, all-time best Broadway show ever.
Too much. I don't even know how you transform Halo into a musical, but I'm sure somebody can do it. Somebody can figure it out. But all right, Stag, that's a neat idea.
I think there would be a lot of use of choir.
Oh yeah, I mean it's already but
Hugh Jackman for Master Chief.
Box, okay.
Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Oh my god.
I
would want to see this just to see Hugh Jackman.
Holy moly! All right, let's get this over to you, Fudge. Just get your opinion on just where you at. Halo, Gears. Which one would you prefer?
I voted Halo just because more of the sci-fi aspect. Although, yeah, they're sci-fi and Gears. It's just I want to see something that's can go from space to on the ground type of deal as far as the I guess the scenery and whatnot, but going back to what Pong said, as far as like Neil Blomkamp, looking at that trailer that was made or that like short film that was made, yeah, if they could turn that into a full blown movie with those visuals, like everything from the assembly line for the Warthogs and the Pelicans and stuff, all the way to on the front lines, doing a medevac and everything like that.
Yep,
I think that would be a nice transition from like these normal like video game movies, although let's exclude Resident Evil altogether because I'm more of a fan of the games than the movies. That they just don't mesh well in the same
movies.
But
they're fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, but doing a Halo movie, I think that would be the way to go. If Xbox Studios is going to look at any of their IPs for a movie, that's the one they need to put the resources in and actually seriously go through with it.
J.J. Abrams should make Halo movie. That would be my vote.
J.J. Abrams is good as well, although I would want to see what Starfield has to offer and then possibly put him on that because I like how he gave new life to Star Trek.
I was going to say, yep. I was going to say, okay, that's a neat idea, but you guys make great points about the cast, director, all of that has to be on point. Otherwise, none of it works. Otherwise, it could be a huge failure. So let's go ahead and get this over to Centurion, man. Which one? Gears, Halo, man?
I would have to say I'm on the Halo train.
Okay.
I'm a big sci-fi fan. I have always thought that Master Chief deserves a bigger platform than gaming. There is a huge story alone on the Master Chief character. And then, dude, sky's the limit in the Halo universe. There is multiple characters that you could have some kind of plot point for. So I'm on the Halo train. I'm looking forward to what Showtime is going to put out for us. I'm looking forward to Halo Infinite, and if they were to all of a sudden put Halo on the big screen, I would be sitting in the theaters for that. Man, I even love Stagger's idea of a Broadway musical for Halo. Dude, wouldn't that be basically feeling like you're iconic and be like, man, they made a Broadway musical of Halo. Try to tell me it is not a tentpole.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I just feel like if you want me to be truthful, I would love to see some major spinoffs, like especially with around the Arbiter. I became a real big fan of the Arbiter, and each character in Halo, Atriox, the Arbiter, Master Chief, even Sarge, all of these guys have really, really good, I feel like, personalities and characters behind their character, and there is enough there to definitely have a damn decent movie, let alone a television show that we already know is being made.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mean, ultimately, I was kind of going back and forth when I made the poll. Halo Gears. I have my own preferences, but I mean, ultimately, I think more people, obviously, as the results of the poll, want to see Halo be a huge, awesome ass movie. But great warm up topic once again, people. Poll of the week. We always start the show off to grease the wheels with the poll of the week, man. Let's move on. We're talking about some E3 stuff, so we're getting into the meat and potatoes now. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the 5 unannounced games. Obviously, I just want to preface this by saying it is a rumor. There will be unannounced games. I'm almost 100% sure, but we don't know if it's going to be the 5. And I just want to get you guys' opinion on, what these 5 may be. We've heard all different types of things, and I've seen lists and all these different names thrown around about what we could potentially see. We're going to start with you, man. I mean, I guess we could just say what we want to see, but ultimately these 5 unannounced games, this rumor that's going around, what do you think? What do you think? Are we gonna see the 5, or what would be your 5?
So I'll tell you what I think is going to be the 5.
All right.
Okay. So I think Wolfenstein 3.
Okay.
I think it'll be that Typhoon game that everybody was talking about. That one with the emoji that was going around that a bunch of insiders are saying is a really super exciting project that's Microsoft published from a third-party developer, right? Then I think it's going to be that Omen game from Arcane, right? Then I think we're going to get Forza Horizon 5. And that was 4. And what was the 5th one?
Dragon?
No, not the Dragon one.
Not the Dragon?
Scalebound. Just kidding.
No, it wasn't Scalebound. There was one more. I just had it in my head before we go. I'm sure I'll think of it. But that's. I said Wolfenstein 3. I said Typhoon game, Omen, Forza Horizon 5. I can't remember the 5th one right now. I'll come if it comes back to me. I'll interrupt somebody and say it out loud. But it's going to be absolutely amazing, even with what we know is in the works, right? And what they did last year was they did announce a bunch of new games, right? They announced Fable, they announced Avowed, right? They announced Forza Motorsports getting a reboot, right? They announced As Dusk Falls, I think is the name of that one. Yeah. And I think this is going to be their MO going forward, right? Where we're going to see, okay, this is what studios are working on, and maybe in the future we're going to get some more news on those in depth, right? So we're going to get some early looks. We're going to later, and they got to develop this pipeline of news, and that started last year. It's going to continue with this year because they have a lot of studios working on games, right? And they got to find a way to let everybody know the future, because they have a lot of naysayers out there still saying Xbox has no games. So what do? You announce more games, right? So I think this rumor of the 5 is true. Now, the people that have been saying that have also said it's still up in the air exactly what we're going to get there, where we may get 4 or 5 or whatever, right? So I'm excited about the potential. I think Wolfenstein 3 is likely. Do
you think one of the games could be maybe a Japanese title potentially?
It could be maybe one of those other. Maybe I don't know what the Typhoon game is, right? That's the one that's people seem like they're really excited about when they were talking about the possibilities of this, and we have no clue really what it is. There has been some mention of possibly some kind of online component or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they said about it when they were talking about it, but they said it was extremely exciting, the possibilities of this game, but it was early, right? So, but then they've been saying we might see this. There's also been rumors that we could actually potentially see Perfect Dark again. Now that's not a new announcement, but there's been some rumors about that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've had some people tell me that they are extremely confident in that. So that's not coming from me. I'm just saying, if that's true, that would be pretty exciting. But if you did actually have 5 new IPs to line up with all these other things that we know about, man, that's gonna be crazy. Now, a Japanese RPG potentially, is that what you're talking about?
I mean, it doesn't have to be an RPG or JRPG. It could be just some other game out of Japan that they're working on or want to bring to Xbox. I'm not sure. So just throwing that idea out there too.
They could, because they did have the marketing rights also to Scarlet Nexus. They could give a little bit of a highlight again on Scarlet Nexus at the show, potentially. So I think that's releasing later next month, right? Is that coming out before E3 or after?
Scarlet Nexus?
Pong?
After.
After, I think, yeah.
Yeah, they could get some more highlight to that at the show at some point because of the marketing rights and everything. And maybe they announced that's going to be day one on Game Pass. That would be cool.
Dope. That would be dope.
Oh.
That's more like a Summer Game Fest announcement, though.
It could be. I agree with you.
It's the 25th of June, by the way.
25th.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I mean, some interesting. If you could think of that other one though, just stop me and let me know.
Dude,
man, I
had it in my head. I swear. I'm not going crazy.
It's all good, brother. But let's go ahead and mix this up and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Just get your opinion, man. 5 unannounced games. Me and you talk about this all the time in the party chats and just about what we could potentially see. Now, I want to throw you a bone too, man. I don't know if this is maybe the one. Compulsion as well. They've been sitting over there working on whatever they're working on. So just to kind of throw that out there too. But go ahead, Fuzz.
Yeah, I'm kind of split on what they're going to show at like the Summer Game Fest versus the E3. Now, when it comes to Summer Game Fest, that would probably be the place where they should show some of the stuff they've either talked about or hinted to before, or that it's going to be coming out fairly soon. I'm kind of predicting on at least on that end of things that we'll see the return of design labs, which I would love for them to also include consoles. I know there's restrictions or limitations on that stuff, but I think design labs needs to make a return. But back to the 5 unannounced games, some of them I think are kind of announced possibly in that grouping. It's just a matter of like we haven't heard much more about Project Mara. Now, a lot of people have said or hinted that maybe Hellblade 2 is not going to be there. But who's to say that Project Mara isn't? I think that's one that probably will get either some sort of, I won't say deeper dive, because we know it's going to be in an apartment. They showed a lot of the technical stuff that they're doing to make even the dust be realistic in the apartment. But Project Mara is one of those that's on my list of possibly making an appearance. Compulsion's game, because for a while, Phil was saying, oh, yeah, I got to play it or I got to see this. And I would have to believe that that's a little bit further along, although it's kind of hard to say because we really haven't seen anything physically.
They've been super quiet.
Yeah. And then when it comes to Perfect Dark, we all remember when Drew was talking about having something playable. Like even Phil said something was playable. His daughter was playing something, and we were trying to look in the glasses of people to see what the game was. So hopefully that will make an appearance, but I don't know if Perfect Dark would be considered one of those 5. The Typhoon game, definitely. The Dragon game with IO, I think that's way early right now, but it's a possibility. When it comes to the Omen game from Arcane, I think that's definitely one. I don't know if they would include like the Wolfenstein 3. Yes, it's definitely a AAA. Yes, no one's talked about it, not even Bethesda, ever since Youngbloods or whatever came out, and I don't think anybody really wants to piggyback off of Youngbloods, only because it seemed like that game was more of a not really a work in progress, but like a test on customization and possibly monetization. But yeah, I would have to believe we see Starfield. Is Starfield one of those? They've mentioned Starfield, but we haven't seen anything other than a 5-second trailer of a satellite getting sucked into what appears to be possibly a black hole. I think that definitely makes an appearance this E3. If it counts as one of the 5, I'm not entirely sure. But as far as when it comes to Forza Horizon 5, I hope that's not one of the 5 that they're counting, because that's kind of like I won't say it's a given, but we're used to Forza being like almost like an every other year type of thing between Motorsport and Horizon. So I hope that's not one of those that they're holding out for one of the AAA unannounced deals, but it could possibly slide into that slot because it fits. It's just that I would hope that it's a newer IP or something new in general. But I'm kind of thinking Project Mara, Starfield, though not fully new, but it is a new IP. Compulsion's game, Arcane's game, as far as Omen or the vampire type game. And then after that, might be a little early for some of the other games from Obsidian, because I know, Obsidian seems to be that one group that they have multiple teams and each one working on a project. Like we know Grounded is eventually going to be released as a full game. We know that they're working on Avowed. And if I'm not mistaken, there was at least one other project that was not announced or officially named that they were working on. Some people believe, hey, maybe it's a, what do you call it, Vegas, like a Project New Vegas, or possibly a Outer Worlds 2, which I'm all for Outer Worlds 2, but maybe a Project New Vegas type of deal would be what their fifth title that Xbox goes or is planning to announce. But plenty of studios, plenty of teams. That's just my five that I'm kind of leaning towards that they're pushing. Although I definitely still think we're going to see Horizon 5. It's just, I don't think that should be considered one of the five. It's kind of the same thing with Wolfenstein 3, just because of it being an already established IP that's been kind of missing for a couple of years now.
Got it. Okay. So I look at Wolfenstein the same way as well. Me personally, I wouldn't necessarily include it. I feel like most people are kind of, I don't know most people, but if you just kind of, you don't have to think hard about Wolfenstein like that, another Wolfenstein coming out fairly soon. I would prefer it to be something like, brand new, but either way, a lot of rumors out there. So we don't really know how any of this is going to go, but we're going to get a bunch of shit. I'm pretty sure. I feel pretty good about that. So let's go and throw this over to you, Stag. Just get your opinion on, just possibly just that unannounced rumor and what you think that means. And obviously you want to see games, but what would you like to see out of that batch that we were talking about?
I really don't care. Like I'm like the least effective person for this topic, because like you just said, I want to see games, and I don't really care what they show me as long as they show me some cool stuff. Like I haven't really thought about it, and I don't have really any expectations, to be honest with you. Like I haven't fair. Like at the beginning, like Mav and Pong were all like, I'm super hyped for E3, and I'm over here like, I don't even care. So like honestly, like, I just my expectations are low, and my hype for it is, I guess I don't want to open any presents at Christmas this year. I just I don't know, man. Like I don't have anything. Like Forza would be cool. Another Horizon obviously would be great, and knowing where the next one's going to be. And I don't know if we'll see anything from Perfect Dark. I think it's a little bit soon, other than maybe some CGI
trailer. But, I was thinking the same thing.
I'd like to see more on Scarlet Nexus, but like I don't know if you guys have played the demo. I played about.
Awesome.
I didn't even finish the demo, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm sold." The action was good. It looked really fluid and fun. Like, so I wouldn't mind seeing more of that. But I just, man, I'm not super excited about anything. Like, to be honest with you, I guess. Sorry.
Hey, look, don't worry about it, Stag. You don't even have to waste any more. We're excited enough for you, bro.
Man, you guys have all the hype. Oh, I need some mac and cheese, though.
Oh, yep. Look who's here. That's right.
TK.
I'm super hyped for E3 and all the stuff Sony's going to show.
Oh, yeah, he is. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
I figured it out. What? When Stag was telling me about how unexcited he is, I was like, okay, maybe I could figure this is a good time for me to think. And I remembered I had been thinking about Double Fine, right? Because they're a studio that has traditionally had multiple projects in the works, right? And they've been working on Psychonauts 2
it looks so good
for a long time. Yeah. And that game's about ready to launch, right? So it would make sense for me for them to be ready to announce one of their other projects that maybe one of the smaller teams has been working on with that studio, because that's just kind of what their MO has been. That goes all the way back to the 360 days when they had like Iron Brigade and like Costume Quest and all these other games coming out pretty frequently, right? And then they were working on Brutal Legend at the same time, so they're capable of doing a lot of different things. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Double Fine have another announcement of something really different and cool at the show. That was my fifth one.
Once again, Double Fine and another amazing studio. Psychonauts 2 is coming out fairly soon, I would assume, and that game looks amazing. So go ahead.
PTK chat did remind Boogeyman Tunic. I would love to see.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I know you would too. Like I totally spaced that off, but Tunic.
Yeah.
That's one of the games that you hyped me on, and I'm still like, let's go. So
it's one person making it, so I'm trying to give them.
He needs to get the fucking work.
I'm trying to give him. I've been for like 3. I'm just
20
like,
people made Biomutant, and it's done for Christ's sake.
I'm trying to give them slack here, man. Every time I see because they every like 3 months they'll drop a little tweet, and it'll be like a little 5-second clip of the game, and it looks better every time I see it, and it pisses me off.
Motherfucker needs to hire a chef so he doesn't have to cook or something.
I don't know what's going on, but that game looks amazing. So shout out to Tunic, and hopefully we see something. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath at all.
Me neither. 12 minutes game or 12 hours? That wouldn't mind seeing more of that too. But anyways.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. But
give me more indies.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that too for sure. That's a great segue. But let's go ahead and get to Fuzz here. No, did I get to you? No, I did to you, Fuzz. I'm sorry. Pong, I apologize.
Hey, no problem. Well, I mean, everybody kind of covered it here between Mav and Fuzzy, and I think that if I had to go outside of the box, right, I think that what we have not heard about is the global publishing side of Xbox, right? We have not heard really anything out of them, and we know that they've been out there doing deals. So it'll be really interesting to what comes down the pipeline from that area. Like you were alluding to, PTK, maybe we do get some, a Japanese title or an Eastern title. We can't forget about South Korea, and we can't forget about China right now with Black Wukong and that kind of stuff sitting out there. I think a lot of people are sitting on that and waiting to cut deals with these different up and coming, obviously more than talented developers. And I think that whoever can strike first over there is going to have an advantage. And I sure hope Phil and his team are looking at that. But for sure, I think Typhoon is one of them, the Typhoon game. I definitely obviously believe the Omen game is one of them from Arcane. I think that's one of the 5 that Clobriel was definitely alluding to. Now whether or not he is counting, whether or not he's saying brand new IP, as in like brand spanking new IP, as in we've never, just had this game before, then yeah, you gotta kind of throw Wolfenstein out the window and Forza out the window, and go from there. But I definitely think that we're gonna hear some more about what Global Publishing has been working on as far as deals go, and I think we might get surprised. I think Dragon is too far out. Just from the standpoint, basically it got leaked and then just kind of announced. It's not even a really announcement, but we were going to have an acknowledgement, but for them to have a teaser at this point is way too far out. I don't think they do that yet. I definitely think Compulsion is spot on. I think that's one of the ones that we have been waiting to see and has been in production for a very long time already and is getting ready to start showing. So I definitely think we could see a CGI trailer from Compulsion to give us an idea of what their game is at this point, and then go from there. Who knows? They might have cut a deal with Square. Square's in the business right now of cutting deals with everybody, whoever's going to bring the bag,
except for Xbox.
Yeah, that's not true though, because we got Outriders and Game Pass day and date. And I know what you're talking. I got Octopath Traveler. So you know what? I think that you're right, PTK, when you laugh about it, because obviously the Final Fantasy's off the table. We kind of know that's Sony's thing, and it's always been kind of associated with Sony, unfortunately, and they continue to make the deals that way. But Dragon Quest is still open, right? Dragon Quest is open and available, and they saw a big return on putting Dragon Quest 11 into Game Pass. So everybody's really happy right now. So I think Square's still a possibility to cut a deal. They've got some IPs that are sitting there languishing. And we're talking about Omen. I've brought this up on other shows, but that Omen, when I think Omen, I think Legacy of Kain. Square Enix owns the IP, and they're not doing anything with it. And there was a rumor briefly, shout out to Psychonauts who's in the chat. He reminded me of this rumor, but there was a rumor briefly, I think it was a few months ago or a couple months ago, that Square Enix was working on a new game with Microsoft, and that there was something there. And if that's the case, and those all fit together, and they kind of licensed out the IP to Arcane, what a perfect studio to take over the legacy of Kane. That would be a huge get, and a lot of people would be excited for that, to see Legacy of Kane come back. So I think that's out there, man. But I think after the Horizon showing at the State of Play, I think if I was Phil, well, of course, if I was Phil, I'd be dropping all the bombs at E3 and it'd be over with. I'd nuke everything. I'd have a 3-hour show and I'd nuke the entire thing, right? And everybody would know everything, and that would be it. But I think realistically, after that Horizon show, that State of Play, Sony did a smart thing. They grabbed a lot of the attention back again, had a great showing. I think that Phil slots in, if they weren't going to show us all 5 of these brand new IPs that are known to be out there, then I think he slots 1 or 2 more in. I think they probably were settling in around 3 to play it safe and hold a couple cards. I think he slots them back in again and says, do it, just go out there, let's show it. And start really hyping people even more and grabbing people's attention back.
Okay. No, so the thing about some of the, specifically you're talking about like the legacy of Kane and that stuff. Now,
yeah,
that's interesting. It's super interesting, because I saw a tweet the other day and somebody was talking about that specific game, and I was thinking, I thought about the name. I'm like, Blood Omen.
Yep.
Like, I started putting two and two together in my head. So I mean, vampires.
Yep.
I was like, well, I don't know. That's interesting. So I don't know. There may be some validity to that. But let's go ahead and get to Centurion here while we wrap up this topic. So Unannounced Games, Centurion, where are we at on this, man?
Well, for starters, by the way, Pong, I was actually more of a Soul Reaver fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, that's where it started.
Oh, dude, man, Raziel, that game was awesome to me.
Yep, so, absolutely.
Going into predictions, I don't have really any concrete predictions. I'm always going into E3 situations or reveal situations with an open mind. I'm not going to have my heart set on a game, but I've heard a lot of things about Compulsion behind the scenes from some of the people I chat with. I've heard they've made a real big headway on an unannounced game. But I'm also more towards games that I feel like maybe have gone kind of back under the radar, like Scorn. Does anybody remember Scorn?
Yeah,
I was kind of looking forward to that. We've also Atomic Hearts. Definitely a game that seems to be really flying with nobody talking about it. I think I've even seen some videos asking whether this game is real. And ironically, they have a trailer coming out on June 13th as well. So will we see Atomic Hearts by some chance being pushed by Microsoft? There's definitely some games that will be some eye catchers. Do I have my heart really set on any of them? No. But now somebody earlier talked about the Japanese markets or the Asian market in itself. We can't forget developers like, I'm not trying to say this is going to happen. We're only having fun here. But we can't forget Hideo Kojima was working on a game for Google before Google kind of like, hey, guess what? That thing that we were throwing a lot of money at for kicks and giggles? Yeah, we're going to stop. So Hideo Kojima is now like, well, what do I do with this project I was dealing with over at Google? So that kind of left him out in the market with, hey, I've got this thing that I was working on that nobody is interested anymore. So we all know Kojima likes to see projects through to the end, no matter how long they take. And so that's what I'm just saying. The sky's the limit right now, especially with the Asia market. Just because before the pandemic, Phil was over there shaking hands, kissing babies, And we've seen numerous articles proving that there has been a little bit of pullout over on the Sony side from that market. So I feel right now is a perfect opportunity to really solidify some partnerships over in that part of the world.
I agree. Definitely think that's a realistic option. I completely forgot about the Kojima stuff. We haven't talked about it a little bit here on the show, but it's been a
dude. If you start trying to say Kojima is going to end up on an Xbox platform in the wrong crowd, you could get take a board on the back.
I don't care about none of that. I don't give a shit about none of that. So ultimately, but no, it's a possibility though.
Dude, I know you ain't gonna do that, but you never know. They could like be in the chat, and all of a sudden they call friends. All of a sudden chaos ensues.
Ain't nobody worried about that.
People eating mac and cheese, cats and dogs, pandemonium. I'm playing.
Shout out to Chris too, man. Enjoy that Kraft mac and cheese, brother. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. Appreciate you guys here watching. Let's get some quick shout outs, man. You guys in here, chat's moving, man. Psychonauts. You got the Xbox Ultimate heavy in here, man. You guys representing, man. Boogeyman, Chris, obviously, Joe, Bailey, Fastback, Ice Cold, everybody watching, man. I'm missing a bunch of people. Victor. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. Hit that like button. Don't forget about it. Retweet that link, man. We're about halfway through now. So let's move on to the next topic. And this next topic, I actually did a video recently. That's actually down in the description as well. So go check it out about this specific topic. And I want to highlight this because it's important to me. And I don't think enough people talk about it because the quality is just getting insane. So we're going to talk a bit about these small developers making these ultra high quality games and why it's going to become a normal thing and why we're seeing it, more normally now. You talk about games like Kena, Bridge of Spirits. You talk about games like The Ascent. You talk about games like, The Gunk, all these other just, small teams making these incredibly high quality games. Now, somebody jumped on my ass on Twitter because I said these games are like AAA quality. They're like,
that was hilarious.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, thank God we can have our own opinion. Thank God this is not set in stone. But anyway, nevertheless, we're gonna go ahead and start with you, Mav. I want to highlight this, bro, because I don't think people really understand what's happening, and this is becoming more frequently. Some of them games we're looking at that I just brought up look amazing, and they're being made by people that like 10 or less people.
Yep.
So where you at on that, man? You think that's something that we're gonna see more frequently? And I get excited about it. Like, it excites me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy because what our ideas of what indie means or what
I hate that word, by the way.
Indie's always been like one of those things. Like, what does it actually mean? You know what I mean? There's like a big variance in that, but a lot of people associate that with like small,
low quality,
Xbox Live Arcade type games from like back in the 360 days, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. But what we're seeing is, and I think it is interesting that you brought this up because I think we were having just like a talk about this kind of stuff between like me and 3-Bit and Psychonauts and Pong and just the other day. And it's with stuff like Biomutant and stuff like that, right? Because you have these games that like are visually really great. You got like Second Extinction. We have Exomecha coming out.
There's a ton for PlayStation as well.
Yeah, 100% Kena. Like, I'm super excited about that game.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped about that game. And it's like we're seeing these games come out, and if I was to tell you that this game was made by 10 people, 20 people, you'd be like, really? Like that's crazy. But I think it's with all the tool sets that are changing, becoming more accessible, easier for these devs to make better looking things individually, right? That this is becoming more possible, and I think we're going to see it even bigger. I think it's going to keep improving with like Unreal Engine 5 and stuff like that. I think the possibilities are going to be pretty endless on what is capable, and that's like super exciting because with the ease of making high quality big visual things and stuff from small teams means more variety, more opportunity, lower cost. So when the cost is lower, you also get more things, right? So there's less executives saying, okay, let's try and make it again for the masses, right? So you get more focused experiences that are like the creative's vision. And that's one of the things that has always been great about these indie games or these small teams, is because it's like a vision from a bunch of creatives that come together to make something that they wanted to make. It wasn't orchestrated from like focus groups and executives at a table saying, hey, let's figure out what's going to appeal to, you know, all the casuals and the hardcore and this and that. It's about being a passionate creator and getting your vision to be realized. And the transition of that and the cost of that is getting lower from an ability for smaller groups to be able to make that happen. And we're seeing that. Second Extinction, perfect example. I love that game. I know a lot of people don't, but you go into that game and it's like, it looks like it probably took a huge team to make this and took all this money and everything, but it was like another small team, right?
Yeah.
My mind's blown with the possibilities of the future in gaming with these tools that these devs have, and I'm super pumped for it, man. I think those lines are going to be blurred. They started this back in the Xbox One launch when Phil Spencer was like, everything's just going to be under one category. Games are games, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't really it kind of wasn't, right? We're like, there was a big quality disparity for a long time, and it's like we saw weird stuff mixed in with like the big titles, you know. But now it's seeming like, yeah, games are games, right? Like there's those lines have been blurred. There's more gray area in between, less black and white between a small budget game and a big budget game. It's more of like, hey, anything's possible now from these teams, and that's super exciting.
And the one part I want to highlight something you said that we don't want to miss, and this is the most important part of this, Mav, and you highlighted that, is that the creativity to come. These small teams drive the industry. That's where you get all your ideas from, because they take the risks these big developers cannot. They don't have to worry about, oh, we got to make sure we hit a number to make this money back. They're just trying to get the game made most of the time. So if somebody's going to give them a check and say, hey, you can make this, that's all they're just looking for a little bit of security to get their idea out there. And a lot of the times, these ideas, the quality of the ideas and games that we're getting is just amazing. Like, I just put it in the chat right now. I think like when we get some full gameplay of a game like Kena, it's going to look just as good as Ratchet and Clank.
Yep.
I think it's going to show visually, it's going to look just as good. And you could, if you showed those two games to somebody who wasn't really a part of gaming and said, hey, one's probably going to be $40, the other one's $70, they'd be like, what? Like, they both look like they should both be $70. So I don't know. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. I know this is you play a lot of games, and this is a big thing for you because you support a lot of small devs. You love those different experiences. So just where you at on, just the idea that they're starting to blur the line as far as quality and just visuals, and these games are getting to a point where you can't tell it was made by 10 or less people. Or
even 20 people.
Or even 20, yeah.
I mean, say what you want about Biomutant, either side of the coin, but for a 20-person team, that game looks fucking beautiful. Like the scenery and the different biomes, as they call it in game, like there's just so much variety. Dude. And then like you took out a game like The Ascent, and it looks graphically amazing. It's just, I don't think it matters the size of the team anymore. Like, I granted it could, but I mean, and budgets help for sure. But I think look at Bright Memory. Wasn't that one person?
Yeah, one person. Yep.
And I mean, I played it a little bit. It's cool, but I don't really like it personally. But it still looks amazing. You know what I mean? And that's one friggin' person. Like, I don't think it comes down to how big your team is. I think it comes down to like what you want to create as the team who's making that game. You know what I mean? Like, that's sometimes you are limited by the scope of your budget, for sure. Like, there's lots of devs out there that want to make retro style games. They make retro style games, There's people that want to make AAA looking games, big budget style, and they're a small team and they do that. It's just, the tools are out there to make the lines that have blurred the lines now. It's not like the haves and the have-nots anymore. I really feel like there's just there's a lot of talent out there and a lot of availability to the tools to build the games that they want to build.
I agree. No, and you're right. And it's the tools are becoming more available. It's the talent. It's the talent, and how much do you want to make, a phenomenal game, and that depends on the creator. But I agree with both everything you guys have said so far. Like, I just want to highlight this because I don't think people talk about it enough. We get so wrapped up in like these big games. We all kind of fall into a rhythm. Our Call of Duties, and we kind of play what we play what we like. But there's a lot of good games out there that are coming along the way that are not being made by these larger, obviously EAs and even Sony's, but ultimately at the end of the day, I just love to see the variety, because variety is the spice of life, in my opinion. And the more different type of games that I play, the more I realize that I've been missing out on all this good shit, and just kind of Game Pass has peeled that back for me. Essentially, it's made it easier for me to like go check out different things. But the quality of some of these games, like, I'm already sold before I even get a chance to play it. Like, it doesn't even have to be in Game Pass at this point. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Just get your opinion on just these small devs making these phenomenal games, and why do you think, or do you think at all, this is going to be something we see more of more often?
Oh, we're definitely going to see more of it more often. I had the esteemed honor to be able to be part of an interview with Joe Winner with his single person studio and Song of Iron. I kind of like what Stagger said. He kind of hit on the thing that I'm seeing, because I also just recently watched the Unreal 5 demo on the developer tools. Did anybody kind of skim through that at all?
Maybe, yeah. I didn't watch it. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I will say right now, it's a big old, it's a big tech video for, seeing how the Unreal Engine 5 developer kit actually kind of works, and the tools that they can use. And the fact that these tools are becoming extremely more accessible. Microsoft is actually wanting to find ways to integrate tools like this into a cloud-based system to make them even more accessible, so you don't need these great big massive high-end PCs to be able to operate the developer kits. So definitely this is going to become more commonplace, and the fact that we're starting to see games that could, if you were to let somebody sit down and play a games like Biomutant and Ratchet and Clank games, I'm not talking about the one that's coming out for the PS5, I'm talking about ones of past, you would probably see, oh yeah, you would probably see somebody say that they are both great quality experiences, and that they were both visually appealing to the eye, and that they were enjoyable to play. But then you would be dumbfounded to find how many people it took to build one over the other. And it's definitely going to help kind of loosen the industry up to allow more flexible creations to be put out, and more experiences for us to all enjoy.
I agree. Okay. All right. Well, let's throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion, and then we'll wrap it up with Fuzz.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody hit on the perfect points here. Mav talked about the accessibility to the advanced tools that are now available with Unreal Engine and Unity, and things like that, which has opened up a whole new world for a lot of people that just wasn't available back in the day, where you needed bigger budgets, or at least a backer, some kind of finance company or finance person that would be able to get you access to those more advanced toolkits. And then obviously, like Stag hit on too, with the talent pool. The talent pool right now is bigger than ever. Why? Because the game industry is bigger than ever. That's what happens. That's why this is the greatest time to be a gamer, is because the golden age of gaming is upon us. There's more money, more people, more customers, more companies doing things within this space than there ever has been in history. And so the medium itself right now has gained, obviously worldwide mass appeal and acceptance. And once you do that, you start seeing people look to that for a career. Back in the day, it was always, hey, I want to be, I want to go to Hollywood. I want to write scripts. I want to, make movies. I want to do special effects. I want to be an actor, an actress, whatever the case may be. Now you see the reverse happening. Now people are wanting to come into the gaming industry, like I was talking about earlier. And our previous topic, you've got writers that are bringing Hollywood experience and big TV production experience to the gaming industry. So you see better writing all the way around. And when people are looking to enter this industry, it's very simple. Now that, how many schools do we have where you can go and get into the video game industry and learn how to program and all that kind of stuff? That's huge. That's just a simple cause and effect of the industry itself exploding worldwide. And so when you got a gigantic talent pool now, you're going to see this stuff happening. And people aren't, another side of that is people that get experience in bigger teams like Joe. Joe worked for 343. He worked on Halo, right? So Joe came from a big giant experience. He got his hands on there and then decided he wanted to go do his own thing. So guess what? He left and he has all this big budget experience working on a gigantic game. Maybe he doesn't know everything. He freely admits that, some of the programming isn't his favorite stuff to do at the end of the day, but he still has a basic idea and concept of what it takes. And so he brings that to his own game. And that's what you see. The people that worked on Biomutant, most of that team is all experienced devs. They've all worked on bigger projects across the industry. So I think when you get those people that just say, hey, you know what, I'm kind of sick of this, the big team experience or working for a big publisher or a big dev or whatever, and I want to go try my own idea out, and they find like-minded people like themselves, they're highly motivated, highly skilled, and now we don't need this big gigantic funding per se. It helps, obviously, but to get started, you don't need it. And you produce something and then you start showing it to people, and that's exactly what the Biomutant team over at Experiment 101 did. Yep. They started showing it, and all of a sudden THQ Nordic caught wind of it, saw it, loved it, and came to them and said, hey, what do you think about coming underneath our umbrella? Yeah, what do you think about coming underneath our umbrella? And, you listen to the creative lead, I forget his name, Stefan, I forget his last name, but he did a full interview, and you could hear it in his voice how excited he was, because he was like, so you guys, THQ, you guys are going to let us just continue to work on the game, but you guys are going to handle all the social media, you're going to handle all the marketing, you're going to do all this stuff for us, and we can just focus on the game, and you guys don't want us to change the game in any way, shape, or form. And they were like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we're done. We're in. Go ahead. Where do I sign? Right. So that's what it's about. And you've heard that from some of the teams that, that Xbox and Microsoft have acquired, right?
Sony recently as well. Hell, yeah. EA recently. Sony
right.
Even, yeah.
Exactly. So that's what you start seeing in this industry. And it's because it's so healthy right now. So it's a big circle of life. It all fits into its own place as to where but it all works because it's simply a result of this industry, this medium getting to the point where it's now, considered above in many aspects above movies, TV, Hollywood, and even sports, right? It's now to this mainstream point. And so this allows these smaller teams to come in. And I know everybody's really scared of, everybody buying up everybody and all this contraction and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, there's going to be plenty of people to fill those voids. As smaller teams get bought up or smaller teams become part of bigger teams, there's going to be so many people that want to break in that they're just going to fill right into that void. It just opens up even more opportunity for people. So this is a great time to be alive, gamers. I'm telling you that much.
Yeah, and I actually, my video, I actually stole your golden age term, so I have to pay you royalties later. I'll have to work out the detail. Now I'm just
good.
But,
good. I was just about to submit the claim against you, but that's
don't give me a copyright. It's hard out here, man. Man, you got to talk to your brother, man. You got to talk to him.
Yeah, I can't control this guy, man.
Dang, help me. That's your lawyer. Come on, man. Do something. Jesus. But either way, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion on just the renaissance we're in as far as these small devs and these awesome looking games being made by little 20 or less people. Well,
everybody's kind of hit on just about all the key points on this. I think like my biggest thing is I look back at like Ninja Theory because they were an independent studio prior to Microsoft acquiring them. They were able to produce something like Hellblade, which was like a AAA quality game with like 26 people and a few million in budget compared to games that are usually, 6 times or 10 times that budget. If you look at things now, just like what Pong was just recently talking about, there are a lot of people in the actual industry that are, I won't say tired of working for the bigger companies, but they get burned out or they hit a wall at some point and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna just start my own studio. And there it carries on from there that, that talent pool, they draw some of the people from the original big studio over to theirs, and then they make a smaller game. But they have all of the talent and knowledge and are able to use the same or similar tools out there that they were when they were at the bigger studio with a lot more funding. So I think the learning curve, I won't say that the learning curve is now adjusted, but it does make it a little bit easier to hit the ground running if you're already in the industry and you're an entrepreneur and want to start your own studio, or if you're, that talented, scenery person or graphic artist, and you've, kind of tired of just making trees for like the big budget game, and you want to put your talent and skills to, a bigger test or have it be more expressive of what you're looking to do in gaming. It's now a little bit easier entry to get into that, to be able to make your game. You have a lot of people that are talented in the industry that have gone to make their own game by themselves or with, a small number of people. So I think it's going to continue. I think as the tools for things like Unreal Engine 5 make it even, well, I won't say easier, but make it at least a lower entry to approach making your game from scratch on your own, and having a lot of access to assets that they're able to compile some of the workload that would normally take an entire team to do as far as making the whole map or the scenery. It definitely will help, going forward, as far as a lot of these smaller studios or devs that have, moved to smaller teams or started their own team. But I think it's just the beginning. I think it's going, I wouldn't say it's going to be a norm, but you're going to see a lot more games that look like, hey, this cost 20 million to make, but no, actually it only costs, maybe mortgaging the house or something like that. And
Hope not.
It will knock your socks off just the same as if it was a 20 million or $200 million budget game. It may not have the advertising or the social media campaign of those bigger games, but overall looks, the mechanics of it, the gameplay, the enjoyability of it, all of that's going to be on par. So yeah, I think it's going to continue. It's going to become more and more. I mean, heck, if I can get a 3080, I'm going to try my hand at just tinkering around. And it's not to even make a game; it's to make like the gameplay loop for like the background of what you have in a video type of deal. Because it like seeing some of the Xbox devs that are tinkering around with like some of the UE5 or UE4 stuff, as far as like the baked lighting with the woods and things like that. I think Pascal, I think is his name. Just seeing that stuff, just to make it, even if it's just to make wallpapers or to kind of tinker around with stuff, I want to try my hand at it. Not that I'll ever make a game, but just having access to that stuff is so exciting. And I think there's a lot more people that are far more talented and capable of making a game that have that same level of excitement to, tinker around with some of the tools that are out there and make their own, game or whatever to their imagination's limit type of deal.
I agree, man. This is a good topic, and I definitely wanted to get into this because I think it's important that we have balance, and I think balance in the industry is important as well. And like I said, a lot of people miss out. We just kind of go with what we know and what feels good, and a lot of times that's the bigger games. I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of us fall, like I said, into a rhythm. But it's really sometimes you got to stop and just appreciate really what's going on, and that's a big part of the industry right now that I want to highlight. So let's go on to the last topic, man. This one may be a little bit inflammatory. This actually was via Fuzz. So this is actually Fuzz topic. He threw this my way, and I thought it was something that we could talk about. I don't know if Chris is in the chat. He might have fun with this one as well. So we're going to talking about this because it's pretty funny. So it's funny how things are circular. So, all right, cross-gen games. Okay, we've had this discussion back and forth about, do cross-gen games actually hold gaming back at all? Some people say it does greatly. Some people say it does not. There's no actual proof that it does. Regardless of the side of the fence you're on, we're definitely going to talk about it. Now, there's been some, just from my opinion, to start here, there's been some very, very compelling reasons recently as to why it does not. I was having a conversation with someone on Twitter, and they're far more knowledgeable than me about video games, just letting me know about graphics and scalability. And they just broke a couple things down to me. And I'm like, well, that seems logically like it makes sense. So to me, after having that discussion, I came to the conclusion that it just doesn't. Like there may be some parts of the game. And like I said, 3-bit, I know you're in the chat. You're well versed in this, so stop me if I'm wrong. There are parts of the games that may suffer, but generally things like graphics are pretty scalable. So I'll start with you on this one, Mav. I mean, look at Horizon Zero Dawn. It's going to be on the PS4, I believe. Correct? Did they not? Is it PS4?
It's cross-gen.
The game looks amazing. Now it may not look like what they showed because I assume that was a PS5 and or PC version, but it's still the first one looked great. Like if you put on the first one right now and played it, it's still a fantastic looking game. So you don't have to pick a side, but just where you at on that discussion, man.
Yeah, so it's an interesting discussion because when they made the Battlefield 6 news, right, that it was going to be cross-gen, a lot of people out there were like, no, like this is the end of the world, right? Battlefield 6 needs to only be next gen. And I was like, because they had been saying they're focused on next gen for Battlefield, right? And so I actually put a poll on Twitter. I said, will cross-gen hold back Battlefield 6, right? And it actually, there was a lot of interesting discussion in that thread. And because I honestly am not tech savvy enough to really know, because I've heard both sides of the coin here, and people both make compelling comments basically about why they think. And so here's what I've come to the conclusion after reading all of these awesome comments from really people that are smarter than me. Okay. If the game is made for PC as well, then definitely no, because PC at that point is the lowest common denominator out of everything, because that is the one thing that will still have mechanical hard drives, right?
Yeah.
So when you make it purely for next gen, the biggest factor there that's not scalable is the SSD, right? So you can potentially design things to be done a little differently with loading into worlds and all that kind of stuff with super fast SSD, right? And that's like the PlayStation's whole selling point, right? And also Xbox has a velocity architecture and all this stuff, right? And this fast SSD. But if it's on PC, it's going to be also mechanical hard drives. Graphics are scalable, right? Like as far as amount of texture detail,
for the most part,
resolution, you know what I mean? You can turn on or off ray tracing. You can turn on and off different features all over the place, right? But you can't scale SSD speeds, right? So when it comes to that, and when the game is built around that, the game has to be entirely built around that concept for that to matter. And if you're going to PC as well, you can't build a game with that mindset.
So
right?
What you're saying is that majority of the time, that's going to be the case, because most games, I mean, obviously there are some games that are specifically built for the new hardware, but a majority of the games are going to be playable on most, more than one console,
right,
as well as PC.
Yeah, if it's on PC as well, then yeah. But if you were to say okay, only make it on the Series X, okay, only make it on the PS5, or have your minimum spec include a super fast SSD and also a good graphic, good video card and all that stuff, right? Then at that point, that would factor in as well on PC. But nobody's going to make a PC game right now and have that as a requirement. You know what I mean? So there's just not enough out there, like PCs that are out there that have that yet. Right now, it's going more and more and more. In the future, that'll happen. You know what I mean? But it's just not there yet. Now, maybe they'll do that in the next maybe 3 years. I don't know. Maybe somebody that's really tech savvy will tell me when that's going to be a minimum spec requirement on PC for there to be super fast SSDs for a game. I don't know. But that'll be when it's okay, that's out the window. And if you go to Xbox One, then that would be the limiting factor right? Or the PS4, that would be the limiting factor. But with PCs in the mix, like it's and graphics themselves are scalable. So you'd have to make a specific kind of game for that to be a factor. And I don't think any of these games that we're seeing out there right now are that kind of game. You know what I mean? So that's just my personal.
No, nothing wrong with that. And like I said, I pretty much, and shout out to 3-Bit, he's giving us game here in the chat for sure. But shout out to everybody as well. But yeah, listen, I'm not as smart like as a lot of people when it comes to this specific, topic. But after him breaking it down, I'm like, man, that just makes like logical sense. So most of the time, people are just full of shit about that, because in most cases it's going to be scalable. Like they already have that in mind when they're creating the game. As far as okay, if it's going to be on multiple things, we need to things are going to have to be flexible. So I agree 100%, Mav. So I was at one point almost on the other side of the fence, but obviously once you get a bit more information, get a little educated, then you start to see. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. I'm curious to see where you're at on this, because I'm just curious to see where you're at on this, Stag.
I don't care.
You're killing me. Killing me,
dude. I seriously, I hate this fucking argument.
That's why I wanted to hear what you had to say.
It just seems like it's more bullshit than it's worth, in my opinion. I don't know, like, just have fun playing video games and stop worrying about it. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, do we not have fun things to play? Do they not look good? Like, do they have to look better than each other? Does something hold something else back? Are you having fun? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. This is like,
all right.
This like literally just makes me want to shut down and like
go play Biomutant
and then leave the stream without saying goodbye.
That wouldn't be nice. That you can't do stuff like that. You're too nice for
that. I'm just kidding. I just like, I don't know if it holds back games. I don't think it does. But like, and we're also like super early in this gen. You know what I mean? Like, fucking chill out, people. Just play games and have fun. I don't know, man.
It's too easy. That's too easy.
I have the worst opinions on today's topic. I know that.
That's too easy. But we'll throw this over to Pong. Sorry. Get your opinion. No, you're good, bro. Get your opinion on this, Pong. Just once again, man. 3-Bit once again dropping more game in the chat. Obviously, the hardware matters. I know last generation with the one PS4, they weren't. Were they x86? Were we x86? No, they were, weren't they? I believe that was x86 on those two consoles.
Yeah, I'm not sure on PS4. I don't know.
I'm not. I know 3-Bit just mentioned something, but I know hardware does matter quite a bit when it comes to this topic. But go ahead, Pong. Just where you at on this, man?
No, I mean, Mav covered it perfectly, and obviously 3-Bit's, the man when it comes to this stuff, and he's holding class right now in the chat. So no, I think because I'm not a tech guy either, so I just listen to the people who do know, and Mav was spot on with what he was saying, and obviously I've heard it directly from 3-Bit as well in our chats together. So no, I don't feel that it holds back the game development, simply because, as Mav explained, PC is the lowest common denominator. Now, with specific games, obviously, that if it's specifically designed for consoles, especially like exclusives, and they were going to try to, again, like let's say, could they have made, like, let's take Horizon, right? Let's just take one that we've all seen. Looks gorgeous, absolutely fantastic game. It's cross-gen. Now, had that game been exclusive to PS5, could they do more with that game than if having to consider the PS4? Yeah, I think they probably could have done more with that game. So from that standpoint, when you're talking about exclusives, absolutely, I think there is some limitations, because again, that just makes sense. If you're making a game for an old, PC versus a brand new PC with a 3090 in it, could there be a difference? Yes. Now, could scalability work? Absolutely. But could there be functions that they could have put, let's say, like Ratchet and Clank style functions that they claim can only be done through the SSD, right? If that is something they could have implemented in Horizon, but they can't do it because they have to make a PS4 version, then to me, that's limiting, right? The creative vision of of what they might have been able to do. So from that standpoint, that's where I fall. But I think overall, when we're talking about games like, like Battlefield, which is going to be on PC, it's going to be on everything. It's probably going to wind up on mobile at some point. I don't think that there's a real limitation because they already have to build in that scalability. They already have to think about all these other factors with all the different types of places they're going to put it, right? So I don't think that holds it back per se, because that's just part of the natural building process when you're going to start creating a game. So that's where I'm at. I think Mav covered it perfectly. So
I got one more point here too, Pong, because Pong mentioned this the other day when Horizon Forbidden West got revealed.
Yep.
Right? I didn't see one person on Twitter or anything being, wow, this game looks really limited by the PS4.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't gonna bring it, but I mean that is a good point, because there was none of that at all. Everything was, the game looks phenomenal, best looking game out right now. So there was none of that. Now obviously we don't want to lay it on too thick, but that's a great point, man, because I didn't see it either.
Well, remember too, though, I mean, the funny part, the reverse happened when Spider-Man Miles Morales was announced and everybody thought it was PS5 exclusive. Mm-hmm. We saw blue check marks out there claiming that this could only be done, and look at these next gen graphics that can only be done on PS5, and this is why you believe in generations, right? We saw that, and then all of a sudden it came out and it was cross-gen. That's the funny part. I think that's why a lot of that stuff died off, because that blew up when they first did it with Miles Morales. But I'm glad we did not see it. And if anybody does try to bring it up, now we have Horizon Forbidden West as the perfect example of why that's just not the case.
No, great point. No, that's a great point. And I wasn't gonna even really highlight that, but we definitely got to bring it up.
It's truth. It's fact.
Yeah, it is. It's factual. So let's go ahead and get to the last two here. We'll actually roll with you, Centurion. You're a bit more technically savvy as well, but just where you at on this, because we're clearly not seeing that it's not an issue at this point. Like, that's clearly not an issue regarding these new games coming out for any system.
I am on the same wavelength as our good friend Mav over here and Mr. Video Games HD in the chat. I've always said, as long as a game is designed to work on a mechanical hard drive, you're never going to see a next-gen game. And then obviously we saw these consoles go with not just your standard SSD. They went with an NVMe SSD, which is its own beast in itself. And everybody had this huge argument over what was possible, what was not was possible. And I really wanted to get in the meat and potatoes of it. And that's when I learned about the idea of transfer rates between obviously what you store the game on and what you play the game on. And you're going to be limited no matter what by what you store the game on and how fast that device can provide the information. And I feel like Mav and the gentleman in the chat definitely hit it right on the head. This isn't affecting gaming. Unless they raise the bar, the minimum spec on PC, this isn't affecting really anything. We have seen limitations in memory in gaming forever. A big current game right now, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Because of the advancements in hard drives, they were able to take down certain walls and redo certain design levels, because at one time they had to put up walls just to make sure that your hard drive didn't have to render everything at one time, because it couldn't. Yeah. So that's where, I mean, everybody always goes for graphics, but I feel like the memory side of things has really been left behind in the dust. And I feel like that's why a lot of people are confused, especially when it comes to what's going on with these newer consoles and having to buy basically memory chips for the Xbox because they have an expandable drive, and why nobody really knows what's going on the PlayStation side with the NVMe slot. But basically you have to have newer tech when it comes to delivery of the memory. I'm pretty sure Fuzzy has just been drooling to use his example, especially when it comes to Horizon Zero Dawn and a feature that was removed from the game because of lack of memory. So I'll let him kind of go in on that one, because I mean, like, where's everybody up in arms going, where the hell's our mechanic that never made it to a game due to lack of memory?
Here you go ahead. That's your segue, Fuzz. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. They at least added the gliding mechanic to it, and as opposed to a full-fledged flying mechanic, which is fine. My big thing is, the reason why I wanted this question talked about is, everybody was like on two sides of the fence when it came to, oh, are these new consoles going to be the end all be all? And, you know, is these cross-gen games, because Halo was one of the first ones to announce that it was going to be a cross-gen game, and everybody poo-pooed on that about, oh, it can't be the greatest because it's going to be cross-gen. And it's like, are you looking at these games with your eyes open these days? A lot of these cross-gen games look just as good, if not better. And I'll say they categorically look better than what they did last gen, primarily because you have better frame rates. You're able to have a lot more detail in the scenery, a lot more, you know, visual effects and things. And a lot of the people that were on that fence where, you know, the next gen is the only gen to even bother with, how is it looking now? You still have all of those bells and whistles that you wanted for the next gen, but yet the current gen or the previous gen now can still play the game. It may not play it as well. It's not going to look as well. That's fine. The loading times are going to be longer, and that's fine, because if that's the only console you have, you're used to that at that point. But when it comes to these cross-gen games, you know, I was hoping to see a full-fledged flying mechanic in Horizon Zero or Horizon Forbidden West, but being that it's a cross-gen game, I'm fine with, you know, being able to glide, being able to, you know, traverse from higher points and things like that, and it's not going to take away from the game. Like, having the flying mechanic would have been awesome, but it's not something that's going to make it the next level to the point where this is why I have to have a PS5, as opposed to, I can still enjoy this game on my PS4 or PS4 Pro. It still looks awesome. I'm still having an awesome time or an awesome experience with this game. So for all of those that wanted to poo-poo on, you know, cross-gen games, now look at what you have and tell me that this isn't an improvement in general. The techniques, like a big example for me was looking at like the PS4. You had what is it? I keep on wanting to say Bushido Blade. Was it
Ghost of Tsushima?
The
Ghost of Tsushima?
Ghost of Tsushima. The loading times on that, before we even got to the SSD, the loading times on that were phenomenal on a mechanical hard drive. And they took that same technique or that technology as far as working with all the other, you know, PlayStation studios to make their games load faster without having to really worry about, you know, the loading times being minutes long in between, you know, fast travel and whatnot. So if the devs are able to pick up better techniques and the hardware is better overall because it has more capability, more memory, more, you know, just raw horsepower to, you know, brute force through these games, I think the whole previous argument or narrative that cross-gen games are bad was only uttered by either those that are not familiar with how hardware works, or were just afraid that, oh, well, I spent this $500 on this new console and I want to make sure that I'm getting the best experience. But you didn't have to, but if you did spend the $500, kudos, because you now have all the bells and whistles. But you could still enjoy this game on the previous hardware, just not as fast or as rapid when it comes to fast travel and things. So my whole thing about this was the arguments that people had before. Look back at them now. Look how silly they were as far as, you know, bad-mouthing next-gen games or cross-gen games, and realize that we haven't even cracked the surface or even touched any part of what we can expect when these games are solely built around an SSD and not, you know, including a mechanical hard drive in the mix of how the game is built. Now, I don't know how far down the road that's going to be, but whatever the case may be, when those games are finally there, like if you look at the Medium, yes, you could not play that on the previous gen, or at least that's how they built that game. And people badmouth that because it was like, oh, it's 2 screens of 900p. Well, actually, I guess it would be more like 1800p because it's two separate instances running at the same time. But that's a whole nother story. But to try to get that to run on previous gen, yeah, it probably wouldn't translate anywhere near as well. But when we start seeing more games built from the ground up on new hardware, while there's this whole shortage, which I don't think these companies really want to, limit the sales of a game, because if you only have 8 million consoles out there and 4 million of them are in scalpers' basements, you're not going to see your 10 million sale or 10 million units sold in the first year like you did on like Spider-Man when it was on just the PS4, in 2018. So I think a lot of these companies are going to wait to full on go all in on next gen. But cross-gen games, anybody that badmouthed them in the past, open your eyes, look at the current games that are out there that are cross-gen and enjoy them, because they're 10, well, I won't say 10 times better, but they're a good bit better than what they would have been just solely on the previous hardware. Devs are learning new techniques on making things load a bit faster. And then if you did buy the new hardware, enjoy your 60 frames versus your 30 frames, or your ray tracing, or your 4K resolutions and things like that. But cross-gen games are just as enjoyable, if not more so, than what we expected. And that's all I got.
So this is the thing, people. So what I want you guys to do, now we're pretty much wrapped up here. What I want you guys to do, that last portion of the show, if anybody gets on Twitter and or any social media posts talking crazy about cross-gen games, just send them the link to the podcast. All right, just send them the link. Say, listen to this, listen to the last topic, and I don't need to talk to you anymore, because I think we put this on the bed. We got some very knowledgeable people, but ultimately, I think it just boils down to have fun with your games, play what you want to play. The games are getting better. They look better. It's clear as day, unless you're Stevie Wonder or something like that. It's clear as day that the games look better than they ever have, and they're not suffering from being on multiple different consoles and or platforms. So we are actually going to go ahead and wrap this one up, man. It's been a phenomenal show. The chat's been going crazy. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. We are going to go ahead and go around a panel. Before some of you guys start heading out, man, subscribe if you have not. I'm seeing some new names. Let me give a couple shout outs too, man. Shout out to all of the Xbox Ultimate crew coming in, hanging out, showing some love at the shop here, man. You got some good people over there, Mav, man.
Best.
Bet for sure. So Johnny No Life, man, shout out to you. Obviously Shown Sumada of the Year, 3-Bit hanging out, Tool Man, just everybody, Psychonauts, Fastback, everybody that came out and showed love, man. Hit the like button on the way out as well. Subscribe to the channel. We'll get to you first, Mav. Once again, I appreciate you being here, man. You're a good friend of the show. You got a great thing going on over there with Xbox Ultimate, you and Caitlin and the whole crew, and just let everybody know what's cooking up with you, man. And appreciate you coming on once again.
Well, thanks again, PTK and crew, Centurion, Stag, Fuzzy, and my brother Pong. You guys all rock. It's been an absolute blast talking all this stuff today. So yeah, guys, got a YouTube channel called Fun Speculation, where we have a couple podcasts. One is Xbox Ultimate. That's on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with what we call the Magnificent Seven. We have an absolute blast with our family over there. And also on Thursday nights, we have another podcast where we cover movies, TV shows, DC, Marvel, and all this kind of stuff. And that's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a blast doing that, so check that out. Follow me on Twitter at Fun Speculation for all updates for the channel and all that kind of stuff. We greatly appreciate all of you guys in the chat, this show, hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. Also, I don't know if did that say the YouTube channel was called Fun Speculation?
Yeah, you got
that's
where
you go. All right, thank you everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Not
PTK.
a problem, man. And once again, no problem, man. Once again, shout out to the whole crew, Caitlin in the hanging out down there as well. The whole crew over there at Xbox Ultimate, man. If you guys are a fan of this show, please go check out all of that information is in the description below. Go follow him on Twitter as well. I'm sure that's probably the easiest place to keep up with what's going on with the podcast and just with him in general. So go do me a favor and do that. Will not be the last time Mav is going to be on the show. So you'll see him on the show multiple times. So we appreciate you, Mav. You're doing great things in the community, man. Just keep doing what you're doing.
You too,
Things are,
PTK.
man, I'm just trying to do what I could do is all, man. But thank you. Appreciate you, Mav, for hanging out with us, man. So my 4 horsemen over here, man. Pong, gonna throw it over to you, man. Great show. Appreciate you every week, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Oh yeah, PTK, another Saturday night down, another episode of the Shop Podcast, man. My favorite place to be Saturday night, and I appreciate all of you guys. Love you all. Mav, thank you so much for coming out, brother. Always great to be on shows with you, as many as possible, and this was another good one, so thank you for being here. And chat, you guys just rocking it tonight, just rocking it. I saw all of you. You guys are great.
A bunch of people in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is just fantastic. One of the best chats around in any podcast. So thank you all for being here. As always, the support, the respect, the love that you guys bring into this show is greatly appreciated and absolutely phenomenal. And we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you all for being here. Everybody can find me, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter, obviously, and then obviously my shows. You can find me on Tuesdays with Zemi Games, and of course the one, the only Mr. Boomstick on Xbox Factor Podcast. Find me there Tuesdays 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. Great show, Xbox centric obviously, and we know how Mr. Boomstick does it. Boom does it big every week with 4+ shows, so come see me there. Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate with the one, the only, my brother from another, aka Mav, aka Fun Speculation, however you want to say it, his beautiful wife Caitlin, and of course the rest of the Magnificent Seven. Come check us out. Mav has been absolutely destroying it with the guests lately, much like you, PTK. Just been killing it every week in, week out. We've had somebody great on there, so come check us out Friday nights, and then Saturday mornings, the Living Split Screen being all one word. Myself, Steel Rain. We just did episode 10 today. We went 2.5 hours, just him and I, just talking. Steel's got a rant every week going. I think we got a streak of 3 weeks now. I get my rants in there. We just have a good time. Chat's been crazy. So come check us out in the mornings. We're your Saturday morning cartoons now for adults. Just come see us. Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Love you all. Follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will talk to you very soon.
Yeah, he's a Steve Harvey, people. Steve Harvey. So no, I'm just playing Pong, but you're amazing, Pong. So Pong is like the battery here. So to be honest with you, he gets me going. But I appreciate every single one of you guys for sure. But Pong, amazing. Living Split Screen, please go check it out. It gets your Saturday started off right if you're a gamer. Please do yourself a favor. Go subscribe over there. Show him and Steel Rain some support, man. They're doing an awesome thing over there.
Appreciate it, PTK.
Unique
Thank
as
you.
well. So no, not a problem as well, man. Not a problem. So we'll go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Just quick here. If you have anything to say, just I know you done slow down a little bit with the streaming, but just let everybody know kind of what's going on with you, Brian. Any changes happening recently?
Not any major changes. Just kind of cut it back to 3 days a week right now since I got some other things going on. Changed the name to Bleep Bloop and Nerd Herd. That might not stay the same.
I like that, by the way. I do like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit too long. I wanted to just be Nerd Herd, but like every freaking variation of it was taken already. It's like
even the underscore
domain names, people are just like taking them, and there's no channel for it. I'm like, all right, whatever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I just go Mondays and Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, but Monday and Thursday I go from 1 o'clock Pacific Standard till around 4:30. And then on Wednesdays, I'm on from like 9 to 3 Pacific Standard, or 10, I should say. But kind of doing whatever I want and not even like worrying about things anymore. I feel like I was focusing too much on the wrong things for a while and kind of let things get to me. So I'm really just focusing on 3 days a week right now and working on my physical and mental health, because we all should do some of that once in a while, and I've been putting it off. So yeah.
Hey. We all here to support.
Just
you,
got real in here. Dr. Phil showed up.
It's all good, man. We here to support, man. We love you being on the show. Please go check him out, man. One of the best streamers out there. Super fun to watch. He always interacts with everybody in the chat. Just loves to have fun. Plays everything. So if you just want to sit back and watch somebody kind of just have fun, like actual gamers are supposed to, go check out Stag, man. Do yourself a
Gamers
favor.
don't have fun. They just argue on Twitter.
All right, let's go ahead and throw this over to Centurion, man. Let everybody know what's cooking up with you, man. We always appreciate you here as well, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me be here and chatting with me every Saturday night and putting up with me, honestly. But man, Thank you, gentlemen. It's been an awesome Saturday night. Thank you to everyone in the chat. It's been great. For those wanting to find me, you can find me at Centurion1307 on Twitter, Xbox Live, and of course, YouTube. You can also find me every Saturday night right here on the Shop Podcast and every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast. And a special shout out to 108 Dragons over on 108 Dragons TV, letting me come on the Dragons Den show today. It was an absolute blast and honor. And yeah, thanks again.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. Shout out Dragons as well. Go ahead and check out Dragons too, man. But check out Centurion, the YouTube channel. Once again, one of the most knowledgeable people I know. You know, when I need to make sure something is like factual, you know, I can always hit up Centurion for sure to, you know, to get the up and up on the scoop. But I appreciate you here, Centurion. Last but not least, the man with the $1 million voice smoothing things out here. That's really what everybody comes for. Nobody will actually admit it, but they're all here for you, Fuzz. But let everybody know what's going on, man.
Well, had an awesome time here tonight. Thank you, Mav, for joining us, and thanks to everyone that joined us in the chat. It was awesome. Just, you know, talking our favorite hobby here, gaming and stuff like that. If you want to, you know, find my opinions and, you know, rants and stuff like that on the internet, you can find me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also, you know, catch me on either PSN or Xbox Live at fuzzy_Belvedere on PSN or Fuzzy Space Belvedere on Xbox Live, probably playing some racing game of some sort or division. So awesome time. Thanks for joining us, people. Greatly appreciate it.
Awesome, man. And last but not least, PTK Blam here. I actually did fix my Twitter handle. It's also, so it matches now. So that's also just PTK_Blam. So hit me up there as well. That's the easiest way to keep track of what I have going on and just in general with the channel here on YouTube is with the podcast as well. So I appreciate you guys every single week. Next week, same place. I got an awesome guest lined up as well. Trying to get things lined up a bit sooner so that I have kind of a schedule lined up. So just trying to do that, be a little bit more organized here, kind of as the year goes on. But appreciate you guys every single week coming out, hanging out with us, showing support. Once again, love you guys. We'll see you guys next week, man. Talk to you soon. Peace out.
Later.
Bye-bye.